dive deep into Swami's teachings so that we can practice them and we become the exemplars of Swami's message of love, as we are all embodiments of love, as Swami calls us. Hope you all can see my screen. Yes, can I get a thumbs up? Yes, thank you, William. Okay, so this module, this session, we are going to be focusing on, as you know, this is the topic we are here, or this is the program we are here for. And then for this particular session is going to be, we are going to be focusing on the paths, the nurturing spiritual growth and the paths. Before we go into the details of, or a little deeper into this session, let's reflect on our session we had about 2 weeks ago. It was facilitated by Brother William. So let's hear from Brother William and maybe some of you about your reflections. Over to you, Brother William.
Thank you, Niranjan, and Saidam, everyone. You know, in the last session, we left the session with a little bit of a homework, which really came in 3 parts. One was just to become aware of when do you treat people or life from a conditional love basis, where as the conditions change or the person changes their behavior, your love goes in and out, versus unconditional love, where the love is unwavering no matter what the condition is and no matter what somebody else is doing. And the second question was, well, what do you do to actually shift from the conditional to the unconditional? What's some ways that you can do that? The third is, was how can unconditional love express itself in your daily life? So let's take maybe 4 minutes or so and just hear from each person, each one of you who would like to share. Just what have you experienced in this last 2 weeks, or even just now hearing these questions, what would your reflections be? So let me open it up to the floor. Anyone who would like to pop in, just go ahead. You can raise your hand or you can just speak up as you wish.
Salam, Brother James from Malaysia.
Yes, James.
Yeah, just sharing experience. Recently, I went for holiday in a hill resort, me and my wife. And I met few good friends, which new to me. But then these are probably blessed or spiritual people, because one of them was a Buddhist master. Another is a Taoist, Buddhist, acupuncturist, and Chinese medical doctor, you know?
Yes.
Altogether, there were about 7 of them. And then suddenly they asked me, they come to know that I conduct Soha meditation. They were very interested and asked me to share with them how to do the Soha meditation. And since I go for holiday, I didn't bring anything at all. But then the question is, are you going to do it? Because it's Swami's work, right? And you have limited time, because normally the program will take about 4 or 5 hours. This one, I probably got only 1 hour. But anyway, to me, first thing is Swami work, Swami's calling. Whether I'm with my laptop or not, doesn't matter. Just do and pray with Swami to guide. So completed the program in about 2 hours, and they were very, very happy. So the group meditation was very dynamic. Everyone was very happy and very surprised. Even I also caught by surprise, because the hill property is natural and it's fresh air, and everybody just dive in, you know. And for them, it was really miracles. Saidam.
Saidam, thank you, Saidam, very much. How about somebody else? What would you like to share?
So William, Salam, Ashok here.
Yes, Ashok.
You know, my sort of take on this is, it's very, very difficult to love unconditionally, or to love with lesser conditions, if you like, because we're just simply not made that way. By that, I mean we have our vasanas, we have our conditioning from a younger age, we have our mindset that we need to strive to get ahead. To some extent, we become competitive. We have developed tendencies of judgment within us, etc., etc. We have attachments so that we favor some and don't favor some. We hold our grudges against some, and that makes it all very, very difficult. So what I would say is these, loving people and loving them unconditionally is really only possible when we start purifying ourselves, when we do our sadhana with intensity, and we start not only opening our hearts, but broadening our outlook. When we pray in our prayers, send light to everyone. And I just feel it's that, intensity in our sadhana, that dedication to our sadhana, that purification, that opening of our hearts, opening of our minds, is that makes it possible. But if we talk about unconditional love in a mindset which is framed from, which has not come to grips with the five enemies and is not working, on them to reduce them, then I think perhaps we are just giving lip service to it. I don't know. That's my view.
Yeah, thank you, Ashok. Let me make a comment about that. That often we confuse who we are as Atma, as divine, as we are already one with the Lord. We are embodiments of love already, versus our personalities. And I make that distinction as I've understood, Swami, that our personalities, that's what we need to clean, much like a lamp needs to have the glass outdoors clean so the light can shine through. But that we are made that way to be unconditional love, because that is our nature. That's what he calls us, embodiments of love. And yet our personalities need cleaning so that light can shine through. And I feel that the sadhanas are around cleaning the lamp, but letting the light naturally shine. And that's where it can become a natural expression of our true nature rather than an expression of our personality level. So I think with that, let's, for everyone else, I think we're going to move on to giving Niranjan his time. But for everyone, really contemplate on this. Oh yeah, Rajeshwari?
Yes, to give unconditional love, you must have that oneness. You must feel for the others, try to understand. For that you need a lot of patience. And it has to be selfless.
Yes.
And a lot of forgiveness and sharing and caring. All this should be there. With a lot of practice, with a lot of sadhanas, it's possible. Oneness must be there. When you see the difference, wellness, then it's difficult. The oneness must be there. Must see yourself in others. Then it is easy to do unconditional love.
And it does take determination and practice, like you were just saying, Rajeshwari. So thank you. I think that's a good reminder for all of us. This is a long journey, but every step of the journey can feel better and better and better as we learn this. So Niranjan, I'll give it back to you for your program, but thank you everyone. And thank you for your good reflections. Appreciate it.
Thank you, William, and thank you everyone for your thoughts. And I just would like to, again, just to provide my add on to what Brother James said, what he was really prepared because he was doing that on a daily basis. So he didn't really have to prepare for the particular meditation session because that was his lifestyle. It was part of his lifestyle. So the key thing is all these learning that we gain, they have to become a lifestyle that only we become the actual, really the exemplars of Swami's message, which is message of love. So thank you so much for sharing, and thanks, Brother William, for your coordinating that. So for this session, what we are going to be focusing on, these are the three potential questions we'll be addressing. How can we deepen our understanding of the paths available for spiritual growth? And then we will dive deep into the different paths that are available. You probably have a clue as to what we are going to be talking about. However, we will go into in depth about these paths, and then what are the nature of the paths, and how would my outlook in life change when I understand and when I deepen my understanding of these three paths. And then the other one is, how can we again expand that into our daily living so that we become the exemplars of that, we manifest that the divine love, which is who we really are. As usual, let's relax and focus ourselves and just be present at this moment. And maybe the next few minutes, the guided session will help us just to shut our mind chatter and then to focus at this moment so that we can grasp as much as possible.
Sit comfortably and relax or close your eyes and move into a peaceful state of inner reflection. Focus on your breath. Just notice it without trying to change it. Allow your breath to become deeper naturally without force. With each breath, exhale any tension or busy thoughts. Feel yourself relaxing more and more, your mind becoming more still. Continue breathing like this as the inspirational readings are read out. And allow any memories, insights, or images to naturally come into your awareness. In Hindu scriptures, we read, "This Supreme Lord who pervades all existence, the true self of all creatures, may be realized through undivided love." A Hebrew proverb states, "Only love gives us the taste of eternity." Augustine, an early Christian theologian, wrote, "God's nature is love, and by loving God, the human being can ultimately participate in divine love, in love itself." Confucius advised, "Love others as you love yourself. Who chooses not to dwell in love? Has he any wisdom?" Buddha declared, "We will develop love. We will practice it. We will make it both a way and a basis." The Muslim poet Rumi declared, "Be certain, in the religion of love, there are no believers or unbelievers. Love embraces all. Reason is powerless in the expression of love." What theme or message from these quotes most resonate within you? How does that theme relate to how you can nurture your spiritual growth?
That was really beautiful. Just to focus on the primary purpose of our existence, which is to realize our inner divinity. I have a humble request. If you can, if you're in a position to turn your videos on, I would appreciate that. That way, the session becomes more interactive and more intimate, if you can. So, the nurturing our spiritual growth, which is to manifest our inner reality. The question is, we've had a discussion about what spirituality is, and then what the nature of spirituality, which is, Brother William shared, that love is our nature. And now the question is, what paths that are available for us to manifest that inner reality? So that's what we are going to be focusing on. As you look at the picture, the picture shows 3 paths, but they all direct us to one destination. Destination is to manifest the inner reality. So when you talk about the love principle, or the nature of love, and what is really stopping us from reaching that destination, and from the previous discussions, we've learned that it's the mind, because mind really confines us to the space and time, and we become so conditional. How can we become unconditional? And Swami says that mind is associated with 3 defects. One is the impurity, mala, is also known by the term avidya, or meaning ignorance. And the other defect is avarana, which is obstruction or covering. And the third one is the waywardness, or vikshepa. So these 3 defects are associated with mind. And what Swami prescribes for us to get rid of these defects are the following methods, which is work or prescribed actions, and the worship for obstruction or covering, and then to remove that vikshepa, or the waywardness, is the wisdom, the discrimination, power of discrimination. So we are going to be focusing on, as you know, that the next an hour or so, we are going to be focusing on work, worship, and wisdom. Those are the 3 paths we are going to be focusing on. And these are again, Vedas declared that these are the paths that we have to attain the liberation, which is, so through karma, we can achieve the purity of mind. And then through devotional worship, or the worship, one-pointed concentration is attained. Now, and the jnana is going to help us with the liberation, moksha. So I want you to just focus on these things, and then we will go deeper into these 3 paths a little later. But how the purity of mind is achieved, how devotion is going to help us with concentration, and the jnana is going to help us with liberation. I just want to remind all of us that in this whole journey, what's the foundation is, I know that in the meditation session also, what is the common theme among all the teachings? There's only one common theme, which is love. So love, that's where we're from. The source was love, and the goal is also love. Actually, the paths are also love. So it's the paths, we will learn that when we go through and we discuss more, that these paths are actually expressions of love. They're actually manifestations of love. So let's move on to the next one. So Swami says, the ultimate purpose of all spiritual exercises is to realize the love principle. To foster love is the purpose of all spiritual endeavor. Spiritual discipline is the cultivation of love. Be full of love, taste the exhilaration of love, taste the exhilaration of love can confer. So the work, worship, and wisdom. We are very familiar with the acronym SAI, service, adoration, and illumination. And in Sai centers, these are the 3 wings that we have. Swami says that you're not 1, but 3. And when I really contemplated on this quote, the one who you think you are, the one who others think you are, and the one who you really are. And when I think about it, the one who I think I am is an expression of, is an identification with the body. And I need to get rid of that identification. And how is that going to happen? Which wing is going to help me that? And when I thought about that, I thought service was a way to get rid of the body identification. And then the other one is who others think who I am is with the mind. When I identify myself with mind, so I need to go beyond the identification of the mind. And how can I do that? Then the adoration comes, because in adoration, the mind loses its own sense. We just become one with that divine principle, because we are so much, our love is so intense, we just feel that oneness. And once we go beyond these two identifications, what remains is the true nature. And that gives us the discrimination, that knowledge who we really are. So again, if you think about who we really are, and if you look at the other two, the service and adoration, they have a complete different and deeper understanding, deeper meaning. And then in that perspective, we go and we actually engage in these activities. It is a total different outlook. So if you translate the service, adoration, and illumination into the paths, it's basically work, worship, and wisdom. And actually, all of them are pointing to one thing, which is love, to reach that goal of who we really are. And of course, that love is God. And Swami says, again, all spiritual paths are paths of love. And the goal is also love. And I think that's the punchline that Swami, I don't think Swami could have said any better. So this is something for us to keep in mind throughout the presentation, and just always focus and try to anchor yourself to that principle that we are all love and everything is about love. And this whole program, even when you look at the coming sessions, they are going to be focusing on the love principle. So when we hear about three paths, there's always going to be a question. Now, when you have one, there's no question. But when you have two, there's comparison. And when you have three, we have a good, better, and best, a bad, worse, and worst. So when you have three, there's always different levels of understanding or different levels of categorizing. So the question is one path superior to the other? The other question is, can one path be enough? Or are they all connected? Just want to see if there's a chat, any question? Okay. So the question is, are they all connected? Are they connected to each other? Anyone? Any thoughts? Just feel free to.
Brother James from Malaysia. Actually, they are all connected. They support each other to evolve to the higher level, to the highest level. In fact,
Thank you, brother. Okay. Anyone else? Any other thoughts?
Yeah, it's only one path.
There's only one path?
Yes.
Okay. And which is?
Path of love. Only that.
Pardon me?
Path of love only. There's only one way.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, sister. So in terms of, we have really highly spiritual beings here. At the same time, we also have to think about how, people who come to Sai centers usually think. So I want to ask you all a question. Maybe Sister Hema, you can help me with the poll if it's available. So just, okay. Yeah.
Shall I launch it?
Sure. So just these are the questions we have. And if you can just answer to these questions, and the poll will help you to just gauge yourself as to where you are. And then we'll go into the details. So you can use a chat window, or you can also you can use the poll. That'll be better.
I think only those who aren't co-host and host can see it. So if you're a co-host, you may not be able to see it.
Oh.
Sister, the poll disappeared before I could complete it.
No, it's still there.
Oh, how come it's not?
Yeah, no more disappear already.
Mm-hmm.
You have to scroll down to find the whole 100%.
Let me just relaunch it. Hold on. I think we will need everyone else to do it again. I'm not sure why. Can all of you see it?
Yes.
But doesn't come up the questions.
It's there. You'll have to scroll. If you have difficulties using the poll, then you can actually type your answers in the chat box as well.
So maybe the ones who are not seeing it, the facilitators, you can enter in the chat. Okay. Did everyone answer? Okay.
Sairam, may I ask a question, please?
Yes.
I don't understand the percentage is according to like weekly, like 10%, 20% is like, how do I count my devotional activities? If I'm doing bhajans every day at home and go to the center twice a week, so what percentage is that?
Okay, so what we're asking is on a regular basis, and we have 3 beings: service, devotion, and education of the study circle. So how much do you participate in on a weekly basis? I mean, on a regular basis, like your total participation and how much you are engaged and how much you're inclined.
Okay. Thank you, Sairam.
Sure. We'll give another minute.
I think so far we only have 21 out of 39 who have responded.
Okay, that's only 53%. And then, yeah.
My submission is not going.
Okay. So for worship, okay, so I think we are good. So sister, we can end the poll.
Yeah, okay. Let me end it. I'll share the results. Can you see the results?
Not yet. Yeah, so basically the percentage, right? Yeah. So this is again, we are good, sister. We should be fine.
I'll stop sharing.
Yes. Okay. So basically, this is an exercise for us to know where we are. It's not necessarily, we're not competing with anyone to see where we are and how much percentage we are higher than the other person. It's just for us to know where we are. So that's the whole point. As we are still showing this results.
No.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. And you know where you are. So with that, let's go to the so what we notice is that when we actually think about these three wings, and when we look at the people, we because of our nature, as Brother Ashok mentioned, our conditions and all, maybe from the previous understanding, that we tend to confine ourselves to one, either a devotional singing. We just say, that's my path, and I just connect to God through my bhajans, and I'm not really engaged, I'm not really interested in service activities. I can just feel the power presence of Swami in that 1 hour. And then some people say that I just feel that I'm serving Swami, and it's a very fulfilling experience. So I just go to service activities, and I'm not a singer. I can't really sing, and I don't have that one-pointed devotion, and it's really hard for me. And the other category is usually we tend to say that I'm a very how can I say, I'm very much into Sai literature. So I just can just spend my whole day reading Swami's books and understand, and I just want to live according to that, whatever Swami is expecting. The truth is, or the thing is, we need all the three, because we cannot really say that, I'm a bhajan singer, I sing well. Through that, I'm going to reach my goal. Yeah, the common example is maybe Mirabai, or how they connected to Lord Krishna, and how through devotional singing they connected. Yes, devotional singing was their lead. That was their path. But then they were also, the other components also part of them. When she was really singing out, where she was living in a constant integrated awareness that her and Krishna are one. The best example that Swami had given us about who actually manifested these three: service, adoration, and illumination, is Lord Hanuman. And Swami said that when he identified himself with the mind, he was a devotee of Lord Rama. When he identified himself with the body, he was a servant of Lord Rama. And when he identified himself with Atma, or the self, he was one with Lord Rama. Lord Rama and him were one. So that is the different perspective, different understanding, or different levels of oneness that we are talking about. So based on that and what Swami has given us, these three must. We need to, and growth is not possible when we just focus on one and say we are very comfortable with this, and I just want to focus on this. And if you really say I'm a better singer today, and maybe I'm connecting more with the service activities now than before, we are just focusing on that. Is that really a growth? It has to be holistic. If it's not holistic, then we cannot really say it's a spiritual growth. So this is something for us to think about. And let's focus on this on this clock for the next 30 seconds. Just observe. So what do you see? What did you see? You're more than welcome to unmute yourself and share. What do you see? What was the first thing that you noticed?
Shadows of the needles.
Shadows of the needles. Okay. You said needles. Yeah, I like that. Okay. How many needles are there?
Actually 2, but we see 4.
Okay. It's actually, yeah, the minute hand and the second hand, the hour hand are on top of each other. So there's actually 3 hands. So, okay. Anyone else? Any other thoughts?
The second hand merged at one point around the 15, around the 3. It merged, then it moved up.
It merged. Okay. It's one on top of it. Okay. Anyone else will take?
Maybe if you can replay that again, maybe we may not catch it.
What I said or what brother just said?
The video.
Oh, okay.
The importance of time.
So anyone else? Any other thoughts? Maybe this time?
Importance of time.
Importance of time. Okay. Okay.
There was a shadow and the shadow merged at one point.
Shadow merges at one point. Okay. So maybe think about, like, for the function of the watch, for the clock, what was needed? What was important? How was the clock functioning?
Time was ticking away while
Pardon
you
me?
watched. Time was ticking away while you watched.
Time is ticking away while you watch. Okay.
The
Very good.
second hand makes one round before the minute hand moves one slot.
Wow. Yes. Yes. Very good, brother. Yes. So if you, exactly. If you look at it, yes, all the sharing was very important, and as you said, it's so beautiful. And for the clock to function, for it to complete, for us to know the time, for it to be useful, the three hands have to be in motion. And if you look at it, that the second hand was moving the fastest, and then the minute hand was faster than the hour hand, but slower than the second hand. And then the hour hand was the slowest, but still was the slowest. So when for the second hand to take 60 seconds, the minute hand moves. And then when the minute hand moves 60 minutes, the hour hand moves by 1 hour. So how these three are interconnected and how they are interdependent on each other, that's how these three wings are. For them to be useful, for us to completely useful, these three wings are important. And we can see that the question is, are they all connected? I think Brother James said, yes, they are connected. Yes, that's very true. And they also lead to the other. And Swami says, this is an analogy from Swami. The second hand represents the karma yoga, which is action or the work or the path of action. And we are acting constantly, and it is easy to do a good deed and make service the mark of our daily actions. That as you see how the second hand moves so fast, and we can see it, so is the service activities or the actions. It's so tangible. We can see we are moving our hands, we are sitting here, we are working, we drive, we take shower, we do all these things. We can see these are all actions. At the same time, the minute hand is bhakti yoga, or the path of devotion. When one engages in good deeds, one develops good and noble thoughts, offering the fruits of actions to the Lord. The hour hand is jnana yoga, or the path of wisdom. When one is saturated with good and noble thoughts, one gets an insight and we eliminate our intellect. So how these three lead to the other, and just a service. If you look at the Sai Center or the Sai organization, the three wings, they help us to achieve the goal, which is to realize the inherent divinity. The selfless service, and actually the selfless service is a means. And when you take the selfless service or the selflessness, it applies to all the three wings. So it's a means, it's a means to reach that goal, or the discrimination, to know that who we really are. So at this time, I would like to invite Brother Suresh. Maybe you can share your thoughts on the three wings, the three paths.
Yes, thank you, Brother Niranjan. So basically, it's actually, we can really simplify this in our day-to-day experience. Example, just a mundane experience. Let's say a boy falls in love with a girl. Okay. So I have a photo of that girl. So I look at the photo, I frame the photo, and I keep staring at the photo. I can then 10 years later, I come and ask, what happened to you? Did you go and did you marry? He said, no. So what did you do? I just stared at the photo. So in whatever said and done, that aspect of looking at the photo, adoring the photo, is an expression of his love, his devotion. But unless he takes the time and the effort to travel to that house, to find out where she lives, to know how many brothers she has got, in case you want to get walloped. So all those aspects of information is the jnana part. So the loving part is the adoration. Taking efforts to know about her is knowledge, jnana part. And then you yourself taking the effort towards coming to know her and making sure that you get to see her or know her, all that comes karma. So in everything, these three things are needed. It's complementing each other. You cannot do with one another. So it cannot be that you focus only on one in order to get that experience. You need all three to get the fulfillment of that experience. So these three paths, as what Niranjan puts the arrow, it all boils down to one destination. So that's the point that I wanted to explain. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Suresh. That is wonderful, beautiful. And one caution is, please do not try this at home. I mean, what Suresh said. So with that, thank you.
This is just an example. Doesn't mean that after this, everybody tries it.
Yes, thank you. So now when you talk about spiritual growth, the program is nurturing spiritual growth. And one thing, just another example is, you have an examination and you have these three subjects, mathematics, physics, and chemistry. And this is the percentage we got, 80% for mathematics and physics 30% and chemistry 30%. Can we really say that we have achieved, we are excelled in our studies? We have excelled in our progress? The question is no, because if you look at the average is 47%. So Swami says that you have to be an all-rounder. An all-rounder means you have to excel in everything. You have to be, the average has to be 80%, so that you have to get 80% in mathematics, 80% in physics, and 80% in chemistry. Then you become an all-rounder. And if you look at an example of Swami's colleges, there is so much they do just to keep the mind and the body so active, so that they're pure and they are ready for, they're put to the right use. And then the idea is to the goal is to excel in everything they do. So if you say just average is 47%, but I scored highest in mathematics, is that really a progress? It's a question for all of us. So when I say A plus, about 80% means it's progress in all areas. So service, adoration, illumination, work, worship, and wisdom, the three have to be, we have to really engage in all the three and then reach that destination. So it's very important that we focus on all three, and we also understand the nature of these three paths, and then make sure that we are all growing. So the question is, yes, Ashok, brother Ashok.
Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No worries.
I heard Suresh's very colorful explanation, and I just was wondering if I might just take a moment to share my experience of this. As a Sai organization, we're always taught to do seva in the community. And we call it Narayan Seva, but sometimes, we need to think about that Narayan aspect of it and not do it mechanically. And if we just go and give food to a street sleeper, for example, that is a good karma and you get a good, karmic effect from it. But then one thing that Swami always teaches is see the God in the person in whom you serve, because he is resident in that person and you are only giving what God has given you to give back to God in that person. Now that is what I call the Gyan side of it, where you look beyond the simple sort of external manifestations of two people and a bag of whatever it is that you're giving. And the Gyan helps you to identify God in that person and the act of giving what is from God to God. And I find that with that sort of greater wisdom, which we read about, that changes the whole attitude in the seva. And this is where I suggest the devotional part is made easier when there is better gyan. And by that, I mean, when I sort of started saying, well, God resides in that person, then you start treating that person to whom you give the bag with much greater reverence and courtesy. And you put aside all judgments of the unfortunate circumstances that person is in or why he's in that circumstance. So the point I want to make is whether it's in seva or it's in the bhajans, by infusing spiritual wisdom in it, you can make that more, the better understanding helps you in your greater devotion. So I think the three, if they are put together, then the activity, the heart, the hands, the heart, and the Atma are merged in one. Sarah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I'll get to you, Brother Dinesh. Thank you for sharing that, brother. It's so important that, I think I forgot to mention that we have to start somewhere, either with a devotion or service or study circle or Jnana Marga. We have to start somewhere. But once we start somewhere and then it goes into the other aspect, other path, and then you come back to the wisdom part. With that understanding, a deeper understanding of deeply understanding that wisdom part. And if you look at the other service and adoration, that has a complete different or deeper meaning. And you will be more engaged with the purpose. And we also understand why we are doing it. And that makes it a holistic engagement. It's, as you said, the heart, head, and the hands are all in alignment and they all will be engaged. So thank you for sharing that. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Yes, brother.
Sairam, brother, I like to tell this not only in Sai centers, you have to do all these three. Wherever you are, 24/7 you have to do this.
Yes.
It becomes the whole. It becomes everything. Oneness. Yes, Sairam.
Thank you, sister. Yes, Dinesh.
Saram, brother. So Swami has given us the 9-point code of conduct, right? If you look at a 9-point code of conduct, actually it makes you an all-rounder, eventually from the first point to the 9th point, right? It actually makes you an all-rounder in the spiritual progress, Saram.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. And I think what Sister Rajeshwari said is kind of a nice segue into the next segment. But before that, I just want to share something. So again, the bottom line is all the three: action, devotion, knowledge are a must. One cannot move without the other, and one loses meaning without the other. That's very important. One cannot move without other, and also the other one loses its meaning, because if you don't have that really a deep understanding about why we are doing this, it just becomes a mechanical process. As we all have heard from people, that just going to a center or a temple or a mosque or a church, just a weekly activity as William said last time, shared last time, that if it's just a check mark to go to temples or go to these places, go to do activities, then they just remain as check marks. But if we have that understanding, then they actually nurture our spiritual growth. And Swami further adds that because the second hand and the minute hand travel relatively fast, which is action and devotion, we are able to see the emotion. Our hand travels slowly, and we are not able to see its movement. But as long as we do good and get good feelings, we should know that we are progressing. And that's a gauge for us. As long as we have that good feeling and we do good, we know that we are progressing. So, again, Swami's punchline, one should not think that these three paths are contradictory to one another. So why are they not contradictory to each other? I think we've kind of gone through this in a detail. Thank you, Brother Ashok, for sharing your thoughts. And I just want to focus on something that, so if you look at it without having faith in God, without having that devotion to or love for God, can we, if we engage in good actions, can the good actions sustain without that love for God? Anyone?
So, brother, sorry to jump in again.
No,
one thing I should have said earlier, and perhaps is pertinent to A here, I think there's always a danger. If we go back to the illustration of seva I was giving earlier, seva without the devotion and wisdom carries a risk. It becomes egotistical. And so I think without those compliments, then I think we are sometimes at risk of going backwards in the very activities that we do, which are designed to take us forward. And I say that even of bhajan singing. If we don't have the right understanding and attitude of devotion towards our bhajans, and if we think we are such great singers and are entitled to sit in the front and we should sing majestically so that people will love us more, then that devotional singing actually becomes egotistical and takes us backwards further away from God. So I think if the three are not together, then there are risks involved. Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good, brother. Very, very nicely said. Yes, that the foundation is very important, which is the love, and then that love expression to God is very important. And I mean, if we all think about ourselves, we go to, I mean, I'm just talking about just limiting it to Sai Center. We go to Sai Center, we sing and we do engage in service activities and the study circle. If we don't have that love for Swami, if we take Swami out of the picture, Sai organization just becomes another NGO, which just engages in just work. But the volunteers would not be the same. There'll be some volunteers today, but because we have that, the members have love for God, love for Swami, that there is they're constantly engaged. So the other point I want to make is, if we don't have that faith or love for God, we can do the good actions or good work. But if life throws us challenges, can we really can we really sustain doing the good? I sincerely doubt that, because only that faith or the love for God gives us the perspective that doing good is not, it has nothing to do with what we experience in life. Doing good is our nature. It's basically we do it, but what we experience in life, it's based on our past life, or the karma, or however you want to say it. It's a consequences to our actions. But with that, we can still continue to do good. But if we take the love principle out of it, I don't think it can sustain. So and then
Saram brother, Rajan's here. So you talk about doing seva and having Swami and God there, which is very good. But I think there are other movements like Suchi, I think you know. Well, in Buddhism, they don't talk much about God, but they talk about love, compassion, humanity, merits. Although we don't bring in God, but then love is God already. You don't have to actually mean God itself. So there are other ways of doing. I think a lot of Buddhists are doing very good work, although they might not have God, although they do have a kind of, not like us, God worship that God in us and everywhere, but they just know that something, the love and compassion mercy is very, very important. The mercy also is there. Sarah.
No, that's very true. Thank you for bringing that up, brother. And yes, so I use Swami's Sai Center as an example because all of us are very familiar with what we do. And as you said, yes, it's very, very true. And at the same time, they may not believe in that the external entity of God, but they still have that the self is still, without any impurities. So that connection is helping them, that the Buddha's teachings is actually helping them to engage in good actions.
Sairam, actually, you can look at it in a different way as well. What happens if we do not have love for God, but engage in good action? So in the end, we are generating more good karma. Even we don't have the love for God, but if we're engaging every single day in good actions, we are already accumulating the good karma, good merits.
Sure. Thank you. William, you have your hand up?
Yes. Just want to remind everyone about Swami's consistent saying that God is love and love is God. And so even as a Buddhist and Buddhist background, you could sing, I am love, I am love, I am no different from love. And that it doesn't have to be focused on an external God or even Swami as an external being, but that love is the principle of the divinity. And that, so when we're following a path of love, we are following a path of devotion, service, and wisdom all at the same time.
Thank you. Thank you, William. Thank you for sharing. Yes, I think we had one more person who wanted to speak. Was it Sasikala? Okay. So no, thank you for sharing, brother Dinesh. Yes, I mean, as it's, I think we all agree that good work is always good. There's no second thought about it. And yeah, you are accumulating good karma. So that's certainly a promise. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. So let's move on to the other segment. So then this is again Swami's explanation about how these two are connected, how these three are connected. So devotion means friendship with God. It means establishing close relations with God through love. And as William said, service to God is the essence of devotion. And sage Narada declared that service to Rishikesha, God, is called devotion. When devotion is developed in this manner, compassion arises spontaneously. When compassion grows, man experiences divine bliss, free from ill will or attachment towards anyone. The company of the good is essential for developing devotion. It serves to nourish the seed of love in the heart. Any thoughts on this? Anyone would like to share any thoughts? So as Sister Rajeshwari said, it's not the Sai Center that we just be good and we focus on all three. We need to actually apply the learning from Sai Center, learning from these teachings, the scriptures. We need to apply them in our daily life. If that is lacking, then it's not a growth. So thank you for that segue, Sister. So we are going to be focusing next few minutes. We're going to be focusing on how we can really live those three paths in our daily living. So so if you look at this, the temple or the Sai centers, it's very kind of high vibrations, good energy, because everyone is so aware of their presence, aware of what's happening. So it has that high energy and that environment. But how can we transform that same energy level, same perspective into our daily living? So the transforming the learning into practicing and experiencing. That's what we're going to be focusing on next three. So again, we're going to be focusing the three paths in our daily living. worship, work, and wisdom. So,
Saram, brother.
uh-huh.
Sorry. Saram, brother James
Saram.
here, sorry. I think
Go ahead.
there's one point we miss. One thing having Swami got in us got an advantage over, I think, slightly over the Buddhists, although they are at school, you know. Our monkey mind tend to be a bit naughty when we don't know there's somebody looking after us, right? Behind us, we can do a lot. In the dark, we can do a lot of things, which is not, it's quite common among people. So when you know Swami is in us and everywhere, we tend to be very cautious. That's the advantage.
Sure. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I'm using that Sai Center as an example because we are all familiar with that, but it applies to any congregation with that, the same principle applied. So I just want to be mindful of that. It could be a mosque, a church, temple, a gurdwara, synagogue. So the question is, when we actually engage in actions in the world, in our day-to-day activities, do I have that one-pointed focus on the task? I mean, right now I'm speaking, am I focused on this, or am I just checking other things? So am I distracted with other things? No, my thing is right now I'm very focused so that I'm aligned with my thought, word, and deed. I'm able to convey that what's coming, what I need to convey. So it's very important that the one-pointedness is the one-pointed focus is important. And Swami says that the devotion actually promotes that. Devotion gives that the one-pointedness. So am I functioning in my day-to-day living with that awareness, with that conscience, with that thought? Is it constantly I'm, for example, Suresh always says that, when you have that one-pointed concentration, you go to work and then you are given an assignment. Some people may take 6 hours to do it, but you do it in 2 hours because you have that concentration. You're so focused. So you can see how this devotion is actually helping us to be efficient, to be effective. And the question is, sometimes we tend to do things to get promotions. I'm just talking about work. But if we really focus that devotion aspect and apply that in our daily living or in our work, once we are efficient and effective, that's a plus point on you. And then that's going to, that's certainly going to be recognized without our intention to be recognized, but we're just doing our part. So the other thing is, am I taking life as it takes, and do I have that faith or the steadfastness in life in whatever I do? If am I accepting it? I have, whatever happens in my life, whatever experience I go through, do I have that mentality? Do I have that mindset to just accept it and then know that it is happening for my higher growth, my higher good? It's helping me to spiritually grow. Even this so-called negative experience, it's actually nurturing, it's actually nurturing my spiritual growth. Do I have that mindset? Do I have that attitude towards this situation? And then can I accept everything that life presents to me? If it's, as I said, it could be any experience. 4 weeks ago, I was in a situation where I was not in a car accident, but my car got into, it hit something on the road, and my car is still in the shop. And this actually happened the day before one of the regional events. And I was supposed to go pick up the guest speakers from the airport the very next morning at 7 a.m. This is happening at 11 p.m. at night. And the question is, at that moment, I said, Swami, I know this is your, I'm leaving it up to you. It's your choice. It's your will. You take care of it. Believe it or not, the next day, he arranged everything. People just volunteered to give their cars, and we were able to do everything on time. So do I have that mindset? That was, maybe it was a Sai event. I had that mindset, but do I have the same mindset all the time, as Sister Rajeshwari mentioned? So that is a check for us to do. No, we talked about singing. And when you look at this picture, what do you see? What do you see in this picture? What do you notice? Anyone?
Oh, Saram, brother, focus on the Lord.
Focus on the Lord. Yes, very good. I really like the word focus. Anyone else? Okay, just because of
I
time,
think
I'll go
praying,
with that.
praying and communicating with God, praying and communicating with Swami,
Praying and communicating.
communicating with Swami.
Yes, thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Yes. So I'll go, I'll just pick what brother said about the focus. So if you look at all of them, they're focusing on one thing. At that very moment, their focus is all of them have their hands folded and focusing on Swami. So do I have that focus? When you're singing, our focus is on Swami, on God, and at that very task we have in hand. So that's why we are able to offer the best. It's an expression, it's an act, but still because we focus on that very moment, we are able to offer the best. And because we offer the best, we are also helping people surrounding us to focus. And that is again a selfless service. So when you say the concentration and how devotion helps us concentrate, and that concentration also will help us being that selfless entity for the fellow human beings. So, the focus is very important. So how singing is, when we do singing, that's how we need to apply the same principle of concentration in other things. And Swami says, Bhakti reaches its consummation in one-pointed concentration on the divine. Devotion promotes concentration. So the other one is the action. Now, my checks are like, are my actions selfless or sacred or selfish? What is my, what do I do? What is my action? I mean, am I driven by greed because my neighbor has 3 BMWs and it's a 7-bedroom house? So I also need to find ways to work, get money so that I can have 4 BMWs and maybe 8-bedroom house, or I'm grateful for the vehicles I have and the 4-bedroom house I have. In that gratitude or gratefulness, I think if we really continue to have that great gratitude or attitude of gratitude, that really even it actually warrants or even provide opportunities for more. So I think when one of the brothers said, one of the speakers said, Brother Sundarayya said that if you have gratitude, if you're really grateful to what you have, God will give you more opportunities to be grateful. So that's, when everything is in that perspective, gratitude, that has a different meaning. The life is so different, so beautiful. So, and then the other thing is, when we go to service activities, one of the things we do is sealing on desires. Is my lifestyle incorporating sealing on desires? Am I watching if I'm wasting money, time, energy, or food? This is very important, so that the service aspect becomes a lifestyle. I mean, I never thought about this until I'm just speaking right now, because we only confine that COD to service activities when Swami says that when you, every time you make food, you just save something for the service activities on a daily basis so that it becomes a lifestyle. But I'm thinking, how can that be expanded to everything that we do so that COD becomes a lifestyle? So it's again a check for me to see if that is really happening. So the sacred or selfish. For example, when I'm at work, I'm just going to pick work as an example. When I'm at work, am I doing things because I want to get rewarded, or am I doing because it is my duty? Regardless, I get recognition, I get credit or not, I'm going to do my best at that very moment, because I know that my work is an offering to God. It's an offering. And then work also becomes worship. So do I have that mindset all the time, from just confining work and worship to Sai Center or the religious places? Am I transforming that or expanding that to my daily living? Now we talk about, and Swami says, results, Satkarma, right action, results in purity of mind. So just quickly, let's see what Swami says about purifying the mind.
ఈ ఇంద్రియములకు ఒక విధమైనటువంటి దౌర్బల్యం ఉంటున్నది. These senses suffer from a type of weakness. మనస్సు స్వయంగా పదార్థమును చూడలేదు. Mind cannot see or perceive any object. కేవలం ఇంద్రియములను ఆధారం చేసుకునే పదార్థమును చూడగలుగుతుండాలి. Mind has been able to perceive objects only through senses. మనస్సు స్వయంగా వినలేదు. Mind cannot hear. చెవులను ఆధారం తీసుకొని విషయమును వింటూ ఉన్నది. Mind is able to hear only through ears. ఈ విధంగా మనస్సు ఇంద్రియములను ఆధారం చేసుకొని సర్వకర్మలను ఆచరిస్తుండాలి. Mind is enjoying and doing all the activity through the sense. అయితే ఈ ఇంద్రియములు అనేక లోపములతో కూడినటువంటివి. But these senses have a number of defects. అనేక దౌర్బల్యములతో చేరినటువంటిది. Number of weaknesses. ఇవి కేవలము అనిత్యమైనటువంటివి. They are all impermanent. ఇవి రోగములతో చేరినటువంటివి. They are prone to diseases. ఇట్టి అనిత్యము, అశాశ్వతము, అసత్యమై రోగపీడితమైనటువంటి ఇంద్రియములను ఆధారం చేసుకొని మనసు అనుభవించడం చేత ఈ ఇంద్రియముల యొక్క దోషము మనసునందు ప్రతిబింబిస్తున్నాయి. As mind is enjoying through and on the basis of these sense organs which are impermanent, which are prone to disease, mind also suffers from కనుక ఇంద్రియ దోషముల చేత మనస్సు మాలిన్యం చెందుతుండాలి. Mind is becoming polluted on account of the defects of the sense organs. చాలా పరిశుద్ధమైనటువంటిది. Mind by itself is really pure. మనసు చాలా పవిత్రమైనటువంటిది. It is also sacred. కానీ సహవాసము చేత అది మాలిన్యం పొందుతుండాలి. But it is becoming polluted on account of association. ఈ సంగమ దోషముల చేతనే మానవుడు మంచి చెడ్డలను అనుభవిస్తున్నాడు. Man is enjoying good and bad on account of the association of these two. ఇట్టి మాలిన్యముతో కూడినటువంటి మనసుతో మనము సాధనలు చేసినప్పుడు ఈ సాధనలు ఎట్లా ఉంటాయి? బురదతో కడిగినట్టుగా ఉంటాయి. When we undertake to do sadhana with a mind full of defects, how can we achieve any success at all? It is like washing a muddy vessel with mud itself. కనుక మనస్సుకు కూడినటువంటి ఈ దోషముల చేత ఎన్ని సాధనలు చేసినప్పటికీ ఇది ఏమాత్రం కూడా పరిశుద్ధము కాదు. Whatever sadhanas you perform with a mind full of dirt and defects, you will never achieve any fruits. మొట్టమొదట మనసుకు చేరినటువంటి ఈ మాలిన్యాన్ని మనము నిర్మూలము గావించుకోవాలి. In the very first instance, we will have to purify the mind. ఇది ఏ రీతిగా నిర్మూలమవుతుంది? How can we cleanse it? సంఘ సేవయందే, ఏక భావమునందే, ఏకాత్మనందే ఈ యొక్క మాలిన్యం నిర్మూలమవుతుంది.
So there we go. And as Swami said, the purifying the mind, it's how the actions purify the mind, the service, and the unity of all the humans and unity of Atma. So I know we are running a little behind on schedule, so I just want to go through the now the discrimination part, how this is going to help us with how living in a very nurturing way. So do I have that discrimination as to what's really going to help me in the long term or a short term? Is it permanent or temporary? Am I performing my duties, or am I just indulging because I am propelled by the senses? Or am I really performing duty with the understanding of who I am and what my goal is? And it gives me that, do I have that awareness of presence, the self? And do I have that, do I know my purpose, and do I have the clarity? So the discrimination, knowing who I am, is really going to help me with clarity, with the clarity of vision. So with that vision, whatever I do, I know why I'm doing it, and that that gives more meaning to my existence on this earth. And so, for example, when you are at work and you work for a company, and then if you really understand the company's mission and vision, and you really take the time to read and understand that, have that wisdom, then the work that we do, the way we offer ourselves to this mission, and everything has a different meaning. We have much deeper understanding, so that we become our work becomes purposeful, and we become so present, and our presence makes everything so meaningful. Then it helps us to reach the destination with that nurturing aspect. So in summary, what we have gone through so far is, it's basically, Saison, I don't want to go through this because of time. We will go into the breakout session in the next minute or so. So just for us to capture these things. The Mala, Avarana, and Vikshepa. And Swami says that the impurities of the mind is because of the actions from the past lives and the past times, and they have to be removed, and the sacred actions help us remove that. And then the Avarana, which is the covering, it's because of the effects of the 6 negative qualities: the lust, anger, greed, pride, delusion, and envy. These are the ones that's causing that delusion or the covering, so that we are not able to see things clearly. We don't have that clear vision. And then the Vikshepa, it's because the waywardness, it's the mind's nature of unsteadiness and waywardness. So that can be removed by focusing on the divine. And then if you look at it, all 3 are really interconnected. So with that, let's go into the breakout sessions. We'll give about 20 minutes for people to yes.
Niranjan, only thing is that now is 50. It's already 9:50. 10 we are supposed to finish.
Okay.
So, okay, maybe what we can do is, instead of the breakup room, the key point, the main point is the big shift now that we're doing. In other words, when you're going for bhajan, so when you're practicing bhajan singing, you're supposed to, what Niranjan is saying is that at the end of the day, you're supposed to develop concentration, because that bhajan will help you to develop concentration, which when you go and devote your time to work, you'll find you're better at that workplace. If you're going to do seva in outside, the idea is to be selfless. Then you apply selflessness in the normal work. You will find that slowly, the work becomes a worship in that sense. And at the same time, if you participate in the study circle increases your knowledge, increases your ability to discriminate. So then you'll find that when you apply in your life, things are changing. So literally, whenever we are practicing the spiritual things, we are supposed to make a difference in the world outside. Otherwise, what is the necessity to be a devotee of God? The whole idea of being a devotee to God is to make a change in ourselves, and so also in a change in others. So this is the most important aspect of the discussion. So perhaps we can why not we use this general few minutes left for us in a broad discussion. Before that means anybody can just come up and comment on this and discuss this broadly.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Niranjan, if I can add, what you've done beautifully is to outline the worksheet for their toolkit. And I think it's a good transition as we go to the discussion that these core questions are really what you're asking them to look at for the next 2 weeks as well.
Yeah. So anyone would like to share the thoughts about how the shift happens and how we can implement them in our daily living, and what are we going to change in terms of our understanding so far, and maybe we have a better understanding with all the information we have now.
Sairam, I think maybe our level of contentment greatly determines our type of lifestyle and what we do. I think contentment is a very important aspect of spiritual life. Sairam.
Contentment. Yes. Thank you, sister. Contentment. Yes. Okay. Anyone else?
Sairam.
Sairam.
Okay, I would like to share one incident. My devotee in my center, my young adult, he's very intense during the serving early morning, go to serving the feed the hunger. You know, early morning around 5:30 in the morning. It's very intense. Almost every week, he will go and serve them. You know, with a group of young adults. This is before MCO. So maybe every week or 2 weeks once he will be there. For one moment, one time when he's serving and he can see the other party, he can see his image is in the other party. He can see himself. He can see that actually he's serving himself. That transformations is taken him back and you know he have the reflections and sharing you know to us inside the center. And then I thought that you really have the grace of God. Yeah? If the Swami can show you the partner, that is the transformations in you. Now he doing it, he can see, he able to see the God in everyone because he already seen actually the image of him in other party. Actually, it's the same Atma. So he told that I'm not serving you, yeah, I'm actually serving myself. That transformations also make a big transformations, make a very shift of what is service all about when we have a satsang inside the center. Yeah, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so wonderful. So beautiful. Yes. Dana, would you like to share?
Brother Sairam, we started off with the question of conditional and unconditional love. The whole exercise actually brought greater picture to it. So I think that as we increase our observation, say when we do seva, if we increase our observation of what is required in the service exercise and reduce the judgment as much as possible, then the conditional love will gradually move into unconditional. Thank you.
So less attachment from conditional. Yeah, that helps us from conditional to unconditional. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Sairam, yes, I think it's the willingness. The willingness. When there's a will, there's a way. So the willingness inside us is very important too. So you can face any challenges. When there's a will, there's a way, definitely. Sairam.
Willingness. Okay. Yes. Intensity. It's very intense. Intensity is very important. Yes. Thank you. Yes, Brother Ashok. You're on mute if you're speaking.
Yes, Adam. I just wanted to say one thing. In your summaries on each of the three paths, you talked about single-minded focus, and then you talked about selflessness, and then you talked about discrimination. I just want to say, these things are very difficult to achieve. So the monkey mind, for example, makes it very, very difficult to achieve single-minded focus. And then we live in a world where multitasking is considered a virtue. We live in a world where selfishness, self-promotion is advocated for and praised almost. So, I said earlier, there's a lot of conditioning. And I just want to say that if this whole journey towards developing single-minded focus, this journey toward developing selflessness, this journey towards developing discrimination, that is what spirituality is all about. It could take 10, 20, 30 years. So the point is not that when we sit, we don't have single-minded focus. The point is we must sit notwithstanding that in order, to earn the Lord's grace that we may develop it. So what I would say to everyone is we've heard really nice points from you, but that's going to take time to achieve. It's going to take our sadhana to achieve it. It's going to take, perhaps, as in my case, a belief that we need to live more simply, live at home, not engage the mind excessively in society with all its desires. And those sort of things will help us nurture those qualities over time. So do not expect immediate success, and success will come when Swami wills it comes, We just have to keep doing our part. That's all. Sign up.
I'm so glad that you mentioned this, brother, because this is, we are here because I don't know how many years or how many lifetimes we have been trying to learn this, and by Swami's grace, and we have a teacher who's teaching us all these things. But I'm totally with you, and baby steps, one step at a time. And as sister said, it's the intensity and having that willingness to keep trying and keep on trying is what's it's very important. And it's there's so much baggage we come with, so it's not easy to unload those things in a minute and just become that. So totally, and we are all common people, commoners who engage in everyday activity. It's just that so that we think, every time we are engaged in activity, we have that awareness. So we might be doing the same thing. The activity, whatever we do, it's the same thing, but maybe that perspective is different. That's the shift is happening at the perspective. And maybe, I would still drive a BMW, but maybe with the understanding that, yes, at this moment, I'm enjoying this because that's happening. I'm focusing on that. But I'm not, that's not going to be just a purely goal of my life. Maybe that's the shift that we are talking about. Yes, brother Dinesh. You okay?
Just want to add on the single-minded focus context here. I think what is very important in the Sai organization, as we devotees, we must practice meditation, at least 30 minutes a day, 45 minutes. Before this, 5 years ago, I wasn't into meditation, and I was doing a lot of bhajans and all that. But when I started practicing meditation after going for a retreat in Thailand with Buddhist monks, I felt a different change. Like when you wake up 4:30 in the morning and you meditate, you can actually feel the sense of clarity, in your mind, in your daily tasks. After meditation, you go to work. There's a sense of a lot of clarity, and I think we should all practice that. You look at the 9-point code of conduct. So the first one is daily meditation and prayer.
Yes, yeah, very true. Yeah, even our sessions we start with silent sitting, so because we want to focus on that, the concentration. So thank you for sharing that. Yes, Suresh, you want to say something?
No, I didn't say.
Okay. So anyone, I know it's 10 o'clock for most of you and 7 o'clock for me. Anyone else would like to share anything?
Yeah, can I share something?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Just now, Sister Jenny say about contentment. Of course, it's very important. So Swami teaching is simple living and high thinking. Not only contentment, but being simple living and high thinking always have in our heart, whatever we do, right? So high thinking, I think we got a lot of work to look into. Then the other thing is, I don't know how many of you know that when you do this chanting, especially Gayatri, 108, really concentrated and they're one-pointed, as you emphasize a lot. Actually, there are two things. One is develop your concentration. Two is actually you're doing a lot of seva for the world, because when you chant Gayatri, it's affecting the whole world actually. I don't know how many people know that. Then another thing is, as associate, our mind is running here and there. It's not easy. So this chanting also help us And of course, meditation, which Brother Dennis say, which even help even much higher, you know. So the other thing is, Swami teaching, work is virtue, duty is God. I think in whether we are working or in the home, this apply to all. Silent.
Yes, thank you, brother. Yes, even the way we pray, it has a different meaning when we really understand it. For example, Swami says, the yagnas are done only for a greater good, not for selfish agenda. And that's how they were done in the past. But now things could be different because we don't have a better understanding. So yeah, so as is a guide to chanting, that it has a selfless aspect to it. So I just want to go back to what Brother Ashok said, that it's not, just want to be clear that it's not that we should not live the way we are living, just that it gives us a better, maybe a different perspective as to the purpose and what we do and everything. Maybe the way we'll be eating the same food, but maybe we do the prayers more consciously, but we still do eat the same food. So it's the same probably the same life, but just the perspective is going to be different when we understand the three paths here. So just to add to what you said, brother. I think yes, we'll hear from Sister Rajeshwari, and then we'll.
Yes, everything starts with the self. First is the self, then becomes we, then family, then society, then the country, then the whole world, and the whole world, then the whole universe. All the universe becomes one in all in one. So you have to realize that truth. Then everything is easy and everything is one. There's no two. Sairam.
Sairam. Thank you, sister.
Sairam, brother, can I say something?
Yes, sure.
I think we have drifted very far away from Swami. We are talking about Swami, but we are not associating Swami the way Swami wants to associate us with him. How do we do that? I think one of the best ways is once you get up in the morning, you should do your affirmation by calling Swami, and then you have a friendly chat with him in order to build yourself up spiritually. You become alive, you become sensitive, you become active, you become not volatile, but peaceful. You have energy. All that happens after you get up and have a conversation with Swami. You can put a chair next to Swami and you can have a conversation, thanking him that you are awake, and then thanking him or seeking his guidance for what you're going to do the day. That means you are asking, or rather you are stepping on the path of divine way of living. The minute you speak to Swami, it's divine way of living. All that which you have discussed beautifully earlier is divine way of living. There need not be formulas to work on that. It will come to you as you have your communication with Swami. How do you do that? Somebody talked about the 9-way code, and another talked about the bhajan. And another says that when you sing the bhajan, you must sing it with full devotion, a lot of love. This is the way you're going to communicate. All that has been given, the channels have been given, the pathways has been given. You just have got to practice on that. We have been with Swami for 30, 40 years, and this is a long time. And those experiences would have matured you by now. So the idea of you getting closer to Swami now is you must have a connection. And the connection is, apart from all the sacrifices, fasting and vegetarian food and things like that, the other connection is you must sit and talk with him. Divine friendship. That friendship is going to lead you stronger than ever in order to find your path in your daily living, whether it's your vocation or whether it's for some other area like a sports or any other pastime, so that wherever you are in that spiritual state, so well balanced, happy, content, and ever willing to move on and on. And you have given yourself the right temperament. When did this start? This started early in the morning when you sought Swami's guidance. So we need that love in the morning, and we need a follow through. And we have got all the guidelines given to Swami for 30, 40 years. Now we just put to practice with that spirit of love in order to endure. That's the journey, brother. Sai Ram.
Thank you so much, brother. So that was so beautiful, so powerful. And if I were to just summarize what you said, living with God from the time we wake up, and from actually throughout, even while in sleep. So living with God. Thank you for sharing, and thank you everyone. You know, this is, I know it's kind of a facilitated-led session, but it's actually learning for everyone. So I've learned so much. Thank you for your sharing, and my perspectives have broadened hearing from your experience that you're sharing. So I would like to take this opportunity to extend and show my gratitude to Swami and express my gratitude to Swami for this opportunity and all of you. So the next one is basically the tool time. What we're going to be practicing, or what we will just contemplate, is the following. We will share this in the WhatsApp group. So just in addition to what we had for the breakout session questions, this is something that you can always have a check mark just to see if and how things are working, and for you to just contemplate and practice. With that, I would like to return control to Brother Suresh.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Niranjan. It was a really very enlightening session. The tool time questions will be placed in the WhatsApp group, and we hope you really practice. The main thing is to see the shift. Whatever this question, the tool time questions are so critical. If you really examine that, it will really make a difference in the way we approach the three paths and integrate the experiences from the three paths into our daily life. So till we meet again next 2 weeks, in 2 weeks time. Thank you, and Sai Ram. Brother Billy.
Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, thank you so much. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, brother. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.